Ever stop to think about what makes complex life, well, complex? How can one tiny little cell be the foundation for everything from a giant redwood tree to you? Well, today, we're going to dive into the incredible design principles that make it all happen. We're going to take a tour of the bustling, microscopic metropolis that is the eukaryotic cell. So, to really get why eukaryotes are such a big deal, you first have to see the problem they solved. On the left, you've got your basic prokaryotic cell. Think of a bacterium. It's tiny, right? Kind of like a one-room studio apartment. But on the right, you have the eukaryotic cell, which was what we're made of. It's a sprawling skyscraper, up to 10 times bigger in every direction. Now that doesn't sound like much, but do the math. That's 1,000 times more volume to manage. So that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How did life possibly scale up from that tiny studio apartment to a massive, functioning skyscraper without the whole thing just collapsing into chaos? It's one of the biggest engineering problems life ever faced. And the solution? It's just so elegant. See, this upgrade wasn't just about getting bigger, it was a total redesign from the ground up. Eukaryotic cells took all their precious DNA and locked it away in a dedicated control center, the nucleus. And then, and this is the real game changer, they filled all that extra space with specialized little rooms called organelles. This idea of internal organization, that's the secret sauce. And that leads us right into our first big idea, this city of organelles, and how it solves the problem of being big and complex.
So here's the key insight. Life figured out you can't just scale up. You have to get smarter. You have to get organized. Instead of one big messy room, life's solution was to build specialized departments, to create districts, to basically build an entire microscopic city.
Now, the fancy science word for this is compartmentalization. And it just makes sense, right? You wouldn't build a power plant in the middle of a library. By creating all these separate rooms, these organelles, the cell can run thousands of different chemical reactions all at the same time without them getting in each other's way. It's multitasking on a level that would make our best computers totally jealous. All right, so let's take a quick tour of this cellular city, shall we? And of course, we've got to start right at the top, at the administrative headquarters. Welcome to the Nucleus, the cell's city hall. This is where all the city's blueprints, the DNA, are stored, safely locked away inside a double-walled fortress. And it's from here that all the orders are sent out, controlling literally everything the cell does. It's the absolute command and control center. Okay, but no city can run without electricity, right? You need a power grid. So for our next stop, let's head over to the power plants. And here they are, the mitochondria. These are the relentless powerhouses of the cell, churning out ATP, which is the energy currency that fuels everything. But here's where it gets really wild. Mitochondria have their own separate DNA, and scientists are pretty sure they used to be their own independent bacteria billions of years ago. It's this theory called endosymbiosis. They're basically ancient tenants that now pay their rent by powering the entire city. How cool is that? So, every thriving city needs an industrial sector, right? It needs to build things and it needs to ship things out. Well, that's the job of the endoplasmic reticulum. We'll just call it the ER. And the Golgi. Think of the rough ER as the main factory floor, building all the proteins. The smooth ER is like a specialty shop that makes fats and handles detox. Then, all those freshly made goods get sent over to the Golgi apparatus, which is basically the city's main post office. It sorts, packages, and ships everything to exactly where it needs to go. An incredibly efficient production line. Okay, so we've got all these amazing city districts, all these organelles. But what are the walls actually made of? How do you build all these different rooms inside a cell? The answer is so simple, it's brilliant. The cell uses one primary building material for almost everything, for the city walls and for the walls of nearly all the buildings inside. And that material is the plasma membrane. It's this flexible, smart barrier that's the true foundation of all this complex architecture. And, don't think of this membrane as just some simple plastic wrap. It's an incredibly complex material. Just look at this breakdown. About half of its weight is proteins. And that's huge because it's the proteins that turn these simple barriers into active, thinking surfaces. So here's how the team works. You've got phospholipids, which are like the bricks and mortar, forming that basic, flexible, two-layered sheet. Then you have the proteins embedded in that sheet. They're the doors, the sensors, the communication towers. And finally, you have cholesterol, which is kind of the unsung hero, wedging itself in there to make sure the membrane stays perfectly fluid, not too stiff and not too runny. Now, we didn't figure all this out overnight. Oh no, our picture of what this living border looks like has evolved dramatically over the years as our technology has gotten better and better.
You can really see that evolution of thought right here. We started way back in the 30s with this idea of a simple sandwich model. But the real breakthrough, the one that forms the basis of everything we think today, came in 1972 with the fluid mosaic model. It's a perfect example of how science is always learning, always refining its ideas. And the biggest difference, the real quantum leap in thinking, was the shift from seeing the membrane as static to seeing it as dynamic. The old sandwich model pictured a rigid, unchanging wall, but the fluid mosaic model realized it was more like a fluid sea of lipids with proteins floating around in it like icebergs. And that idea of constant movement, it changed everything.
So let's just quickly break down that modern model. 1. The foundation is a fluid, two-layered sheet of lipids. 2. A mosaic of different proteins is embedded in it doing all the important work. And 3, this is the crucial part, everything can move around. The lipids and the proteins are constantly shifting and drifting. It's not a wall, it's a dynamic living surface. Okay, so we've toured the city, we've looked at the building materials, but let's bring it all home. Why does all this intricate organization actually matter? What's the so what? You know, this quote from a biology textbook really says it all. This design isn't just for looks. By having all these different rooms, the cell can do a million different jobs at once, even jobs that would normally interfere with each other, and it does it all with incredible efficiency. It's what makes complexity possible. So, when you boil it all down, here's the big takeaway. The eukaryotic cell isn't just a bag of goo. It's a masterpiece of nanoarchitecture. This city-like design, built out of these smart membranes, is the fundamental blueprint that allowed life to evolve beyond simple bacteria and create the incredible complexity we see all around us and, of course, inside of us. And maybe the most exciting part is that we're still exploring the city. Our maps get better every single year, and we're constantly finding new pathways and structures we never knew existed. It just makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other amazing design secrets are still waiting to be discovered inside the architecture of life?